Hello, I'm Bob Gourley. I'm the Chief Technology Officer of OODA LLC. I've spent a career evaluating the business impact of technologies. As a Navy intelligence officer, I would evaluate how our technologies could be best configured and optimized, and what new technologies we needed to acquire in order to continue to improve our ability to support important missions. I would also evaluate how our adversaries would use technology as they sought to gain advantage over us. At TRW and Northrop Grumman, I would steer R&D budgets to create new technologies so that our side could continue to have the capabilities we needed. Back in government as the Chief Technology Officer of the Defense Intelligence Agency, I worked as part of a large team that would evaluate technologies to bring into our enterprise to continue to build our ability to support key missions. For the last decade, I've been working with corporations large and small to evaluate technologies. I've helped large companies like Microsoft and Sun Microsystems and even Coca-Cola evaluate technology and understand markets and do due diligence assessments. I've also helped firms, smaller firms, assess technology and assess markets, some of which have grown very large all the way to IPO, like Cloudera, for example. I've helped private equity firms do technology due diligence before an investment. I've helped strategic firms who are thinking of buying other firms evaluate technology using tech due diligence before they acquire another company. This presentation brings into focus lessons learned from a decade of technology due diligence. It's also informed by some of the research that we do at OODAloop.com, research into the future of technology as well as research into the future of enterprise requirements, which we get from intense study of market segments. The presentation concludes with actionable recommendations, including recommendations on what to look for in a technology due diligence provider. The presentation is for entities on both the buy side and sell side. On the buy side, the private equity firm or strategic acquirer who needs insight into the technology approach of a target firm will benefit from the lessons here. On the sell side, any firm considering investment or considering an M&A who wants to optimize their long-term value and therefore achieve more favorable terms will benefit from this presentation. First, what is a technology due diligence? Technical due diligence provides decision makers with an understanding of the state of technology for the firm in question, including assessments on the value of that technology. Doing a good technology due diligence requires an understanding of technology, and this means the entire stack of technology, legacy technology as well as modern technology. And here's an important point to underscore. It also requires an assessment of the future of technology. This can only be done, in our opinion, with experienced technology and business executives, and this point will be made clearer throughout this presentation. There are two major elements of technology due diligence today. One, there is the assessment of a company that provides a technical product or technically focused services. This kind of technology due diligence focuses on what is being sold into the market. The other kind of technology due diligence is the technology being used by a company and how it's configured and how it is secured. This kind of technology due diligence involves, of course, understanding the things under the domain of the CIO or CTO, but it also, I wanted to underscore early, it means you have to understand all business of the company and how technology is being used that may not be under the purview of the CIO or CTO. An easy example is a line of business organization in a company might be outsourcing some technology to a vendor or perhaps to a cloud service provider in a way that's not under the CIO function. When it comes to assessing technology products and services, differentiation is a key thing that needs to be looked at. Now, this includes current differentiation, of course. How is the offering different from others in a way that makes it in demand? But you also need to assess future differentiation. This means taking a look at product roadmaps, all intellectual property and how that is protected, the investments that the company's making in terms of R&D, the investments that the company's making in terms of securing their technology, both building in security, but also protecting it from theft. And then the investments that the company's making in testing, both internal testing and external evaluation of the differentiation. Understanding the technology value of a product or service also requires an assessment of both current and future market demands. Because if in the future the market does not have a demand for the technology, the assessment of its value is going to be less, of course. And doing this requires also an understanding of the competition. So competitive assessments are key. Additionally, in almost every technology due diligence we've done, you reach a point where you really need to talk to customers of the capability provider to get the ground truth on what people believe about that capability. When it comes to the technology being used by a company, I list many technologies here. I wanted to underscore that every company is different, but most will have these kind of technologies in use, and they need to be evaluated by an experienced professional to see if they're being used appropriately, or if there's best practices being followed, or if there's other recommendations that can be made. One I want to dwell on for just a minute is the last one here: how a company uses identity management, authorization, and cybersecurity to protect their information and protect their company. This is a key risk area that really needs to be understood by any entity on the buy side or sell side of a transaction. I'd like to transition now to some best practices in technology due diligence. Now, the best practices I list here, I have one slide on each of them that will follow, but I wanted to underscore that this can help you think through your own approach to due diligence. But the way I have phrased these are recommendations for what you should look for in a technology due diligence provider, because there's some things that any provider really needs to understand, and these lessons will inform that and help you pick the right provider. One, you should expect any technology due diligence partner you work with to have a very good understanding of current technology. That's the name of the game. This includes understanding the state of the art of how technology is designed and how technology is built and developed, including the processes, procedures, and policies in place at corporations that implement best practices, so that when your partner helps you evaluate a target company, they can provide advice on this. It's also important that your technology provider understand how technology is tested and security is done, as well as best practices in technology workforce management. Another key lesson: it's really important that you understand the future of technology yourself to some level, but also your technology due diligence provider needs to have a very good understanding of where these megatrends are taking us all. The megatrend of cloud computing is a perfect example. Almost every company that you would consider acquiring is using this in some way or another. Perhaps it's just a SaaS application, or maybe they're moving their core functions into the cloud. Are they doing that in a secure way? Are they doing that in a way that's going to stand the test of time and look forward into the future? Same with artificial intelligence. Just about every company out there is using some form of artificial intelligence to do something or another, and some are really all in. Understanding the future of artificial intelligence will help ensure that the company that you are studying is moving out in the right direction. Therefore, you should expect your technology due diligence provider to have a good understanding of the megatrends of AI. Same with all of these other key trends. It's important to have assessments of where these trends are taking us as we move into the future in order to better assess the value of technology today. Now, another key thing to understand if you want to assess the future value of technology is market trends. So any technology due diligence team should be able to understand the market trends in the key market segments that your company is operating in. So pick a partner that understands market trends. And it goes without saying, and I think this has been a key theme of this presentation throughout, expect any tech due diligence partner you have to have extensive experience, because really in technology due diligence, experience matters. This is not a time to start from scratch. You will need a firm that has experience that includes technology, of course, real technology leadership, getting things done at an enterprise level. So look for a firm that has CIOs or CTOs on staff. Also look for a firm that understands business leadership, preferably one that has former CEOs as part of the team. Also look for firms that have experience really conducting technology due diligence. So those are the key points I wanted to impart. I wanted to also leave you with some recommendations. What can you do now? If you're not tracking the mega trends yourself, or even if you are, I have a recommendation. I would really appreciate you checking out OODAloop.com. We publish extensively on the mega trends of IT, and we write in a way meant to inform experienced business professionals at private equity firms, venture capital firms, and strategic companies considering acquiring others. We also write extensively about shifting market demands. So the future of what key industry segments are going to need as they go through digital transformation. I would also like to recommend that you sign up for the OODAcast. The OODAcast is a podcast available on all podcast systems. It's also a video series that you can find on YouTube. And one final recommendation, please consider finding your technology due diligence partner before you need to. And as you do, make sure OODA is on your short list. We do this. We stay deeply involved in technology. We help clients understand technology, the future of market demands, and the future value of technology. One final request, please reach out with any questions, comments, suggestions, and please keep us in mind when it's time for your due diligence.